in this part of the presentation is go into what we would call some of the left brain functioning or the technical aspects so that you can begin to look around you in your environment and pick up on where the lie is. And then slowly and progressively work yourself back into optimum health. Okay? And there are many things that we have covered today. Specifically in this part of the presentation, I want you to understand who you are, scientifically and spiritually, so it will solidify on your consciousness to give you the willpower to go forward with the work that you need to go forward with. There are no Caucasians in this room, okay? Some of us have been taught we are all the same. And when you start dealing with anatomy and physiology and true science, that flies out of the door, and what you're going to start discovering is that we're not all the same. So there's no use in us getting together on the Capitol steps singing "We Are the World," and we all need to unite and get into the melting pot, because there are certain problems that are present because we have accepted those illusions. Okay? So what I'm going to do, as Brother El Hagan has stated, and as Brother Paul has stated, is to deliver absolute truth. And after that is your responsibility. It's also your responsibility to check me on something that I say that could be in error, so that as a person who's going around and communicating to people, I don't make the mistake of leading people astray. So as the brother said, these are not lectures, these are introspections. And this is a dialogue that's going on between everyone in this room so that we can become who we are. How do you become who you are? You just are who you are, right? Well, we're going to find out. Now, the first thing that I want to lay down inside of your mind, as I look around, as I say, there are no Caucasians. Now, I'm not a racist. It's impossible. But I want you to know that you are a living soul and a spiritual being. Okay? First thing I want you to understand, I'm going to show it to you and give you what could be considered proof. And then I'm going to show you the obverse, or what could be considered the obverse of that. And I'm going to show you what plans that the people who you are calling enemies have for you. And then after you take that analysis and get some information, you can decide whether you want to stay in the Judeo-Christian mindset, whether you want to continue on the path that the masses of our people are going on, because what we will end up being is other than ourselves if we continue on this path. And understanding that you are a spiritual being, a living soul, says that you should always invest in living things, living behavior. That's mathematical. And if it is not mathematical, and you do have an attachment to it, that means you have attached to something that is other than yourself for any given reason, and you need to find out how to detach. Okay? So, the root of health or disease. Understanding who we are as Aboriginal people and our origin. As Aboriginal people, we are the caretakers of not only the planet, but the universe. And if you don't get anything out of this communication today, you will get out of it that you are God. And that makes you the sole responsible being for everything that takes place in your life. Again, so that we don't blame, or so that we don't get in the reparations movement. To ask somebody else to solve a problem that we created. Well, you say, I didn't create it. I wasn't even here when the problem was created. Yes, you were. You have accepted that you weren't here because you don't know who you are. You are the living embodiment of your ancestors. And whatever they have done, you have done. So when there's a time to correct something that is unmathematical, all you have to do is get the mathematics and correct it. So we shouldn't be down in D.C. saying we want reparations. Because we are responsible for these conditions. Not only are we responsible for the conditions that we are in the microcosm as a nation of Aboriginal people, we are responsible for every effect that has taken place on the earth because of our actions. And it's only going to be rerouted and directed to the proper will when we decide to do it. All right? So that's what it means to be Aboriginal, from the origin. If you are from the origin, then you are the origin, then all problems that came about are because of you. Can you accept that? You already have accepted it because you're in a condition. If you choose mentally to say, I don't accept it, then you just have chosen a state of purgatory or illusion for yourself and locked yourself in that state. All right. Understanding who is the power fueling everything in the living universe. Our ancestors always studied cosmology because it gave the dynamics of creation so that you could walk yourself into understanding who you were. Your true power. All right? The left brain side of it. Studying astrology and the movement of the wheel that we call the zodiac. Those things were all important. And this last thing is most important. Understanding that anything that interfaces with the body is food, including the conversation. So you want to backbite your brothers and sisters. Yeah, you really backbiting. And not only are you creating an atmosphere of unproductivity for yourself, you're creating an atmosphere of unproductivity for everyone around you who accepts it. So when sisters getting on the phone, they talking about, oh, so and so and so and so. She ain't doing so and so. They ain't doing so and so. Oh, we do it. Don't we? All right. So we need to work diligently to focus on what is our objective. All the other stuff can fly out the window. American Idol does not need to be on your TV set. Did I hit? All right. How we are being blocked from our, again, connecting spirituality and food, because food is whatever interfaces with the body. No matter what it is. Deodorant, interfacing with the body. That's right. Toothpaste, interfacing with the body. That's right. Water, interfacing with the body. As we said, communications and conversations, interfacing with the body. All of this, you are eating it. So this is why and you need to have an environment that reflects who you are inwardly, because if you don't, you have just assimilated to an objective that is other than yourself. So why are your children in the public school? If you are conscious. Why are they there? It's a death march that we have. They're there because we don't know who we are. All right? Some of those things I can just skip because we're going to go through them. All right. As we talked about earlier, Brother Paul mentioned it. Light, air, earth, and water. Food. Now, the first statement is going to start off an explosion. We are phototrophs by nature. What does that mean? Photo means light. Troph means to change or morph, right? So when we're getting light from the sun, we're getting photons, and when it comes into contact with our physical form, what does it do? Say it again? Right. It's life. All right? You heard a scientist use a technical term. Let's use a technical term to understand what this is about. Tricks. They put tricks. You've heard scientists use the term carbon-14, radioactive dating, right? We're going to test these bones to find out how old these bones are. And we have this substance called carbon-14 that we can use to find out the age or the time of something, right? Let's put it on the board. You can see it, it's not too dark. When light particles enter your body, what? Earth, minerals, what we would call nitrogen. All right? I'm going to give you some technical terms to show you what is being communicated before you. But because the right brain is not operating to see what the left brain is actually catching the image of, we're not seeing what we need to communicate to our children or how important it is for us to actually return to our mothers and our fathers. A photon strikes nitrogen. You know, on the periodic table, what else? 7, right? 7 protons, 7 neutrons, 7 electrons is how it's described. These templates they got from my ancestors. When a photon strikes nitrogen, knocks off 1 proton, knocks off 1 electron. Binds electrons, 6 protons, 6 electrons, and 2 hydrogen ions. 1 negative, 1 positive. Got it?
6 protons, 6 electrons, and what?
8 neutrons, 6 protons, 6 electrons.
Right.
All right? Say it again? E. Thank you. This is the technical side of what's going on. All right? So you get what's called carbon-14. It's an isotope of nitrogen. This is going on in your body trillions of times every second. That's why you are animated and self-propelled. It is light frequencies that give you the power to move, speak, think, do. All right? And these particles do not originate with the sun because they are solar. Solar doesn't necessarily mean sun. It's your soul. And when you understand geometry and cosmology like our ancestors understood it, you understood the power that animates the human body, that you are more than a body, you are that power. Now, the reason why I'm writing this down is because this is what is energy in the body. What we're calling hydrogen. You know, pH. Alkalinity, the conversation is going on. All right? Hydrogen ions are electricity. And this is the process that your aboriginal body is going through. All right? Based on the original structure of the earth communicated in a left brain fashion in a book. All right? So when they're talking about carbon-14, they're talking about testing the life of something. This is why carbon is considered the element of life. This is a body that has a soul because the photon is a light receptor, again, that is you, a part of your consciousness. Now, We've seen this number before, right? 666 is the number of the beast. Europeans who are alchemists, who are studying to find out how to change baser metals into gold, are only studying military tactics to keep you from being who you are. We call it masonry. Speculative masonry, which is psychological games to keep you away from what the real focus is.
That's right.
What is the real focus? The real focus is the hybrid must destroy the aboriginal. That's the focus.
That's right.
That's the war.
That's right.
But guess what? The aboriginal must agree,
That's right.
because he cannot be destroyed. He can only learn a lesson.
That's right.
She can only learn a lesson. And this is what we are learning, is a lesson. That's all, brothers and sisters. We're learning a lesson. Many of us will master the lesson, some of us won't. But guess what? We'll still be here.
That's right.
So we're not all one. Because these people used to be us. I'm going to say it again. These people used to be us. And they are only an extroverted sign and symbol of our own divine rebellion to that which is absolute.
That's right.
So the full responsibility is on us to find out what happened, what did we do wrong, correct the mistake, error, or whatever it is, and then move on through eternity.
That's right, brother.
That's it.
That's it.
That's all we're dealing with. Okay? Their form of nitrogen is not, and these are, this, I mean, when you start getting into the numerology, that's another thing. I'm just giving you the basics. Okay? Is not this. All right? Now they know this, what I'm communicating to you. Isotope. Carbon 13, which is why the number 13, one of the reasons why the number 13 is so mystical in their masonry. Photons come into their body, guess what they do? Disrupt the form, destroy it, remove it. We call it melanoma, cancer, because they do not have a soul. They are not living souls. This is why we call them hybrid. This is why they call them Caucasian. Cauc or calc. Something that has been removed from its original state. All right? Hybrid people. So the number 13 comes in, hydrogen ions come off, and you get the number 666, which is the basis of their molecular and atomic function. Now, since you know who you're dealing with now, don't ask for reparations.
That's right.
Because guess what? We might even come out and say we're sorry to make you feel like we're going to give it to you. But it's only a carrot dangling on the edge of a stick, and the carrot you will never get. And we should be eating carrots anyway. So, when you are dealing with us as a people, we should always use absolute laws and mathematics when we are amongst each other, because we are mathematics ourselves. We are living souls. But guess what's happening? We're giving away our soul. We're selling our soul, as they say in the church, to the devil. Selling it to uphold a Judeo-Christianic doctrine of capitalism and all these other manifestations and symptoms that are only a sign of a people who know who they are, but remain ignorant. Do not be ignorant. All right? So this is the problem. And the food, what you are interfacing with, is hybridizing you and me. So when I came into the Nation of Islam, I was reading those lessons, and I don't know, Elijah Muhammad said, who is the original man? The original man is the Asiatic God of the universe. Who is the colored man? Yaqub's grafted devil, Caucasian, skunk of the earth. Reading those. It was a mad scientist, and he created these hybrid beings. Yeah, I used to recite that stuff, brother. I was boom, 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 boom. And it took me 7 years to figure out what he was talking about. Because he was doing what our ancestors do, talking in myth, to hide the reality of what you are being faced with. Showing you who the original man and woman was, showing you what the problem is, talking about the hybridization because he knew you was going through it right now. Because we are accepting values that have nothing to do with mathematics. We are accepting living conditions in our families that have nothing to do with mathematics. So as Brother Paul would say, our equations don't work. So what are we going to do? You have to figure out which ones do work. All right. Just another communication. Our ancestors used this table. It's called the table of the 4 qualities and the 4 elements. Everything in the universe is based on those particular elements and conditions. You see them. You can even put the zodiac there because you have the 4 elements. All right? You could put a plant there because each part of the plant has a function that's related to an element, that's related to a condition, that's related to psyche. So a plant is a medium. So when we're communicating with herbs, like you said, in the past, we knew what we were doing. We were atoning for our incorrect actions by going to the earth. And it was a ritual, not capitalism. Like you said, I'm going to sell you some herbs. No. We didn't deal with that. This is taken from our paradigm amongst the Dogon. They tell us that, our ancestors, you can know what a thing is by studying these things. Its color, its form, and its substance. By those 3 things, you can determine the nature of that particular thing. All right? Write that down. I'm going to fly through some of this stuff because I don't want to be long. I'm just laying some principles out for you to etch it into your consciousness so that you can begin to understand that you are now in a path of study. And if you rescind or cancel your participation, it's by your own voluntary actions that you do so. And we are here in ISIS to build a nation. But we're not talking about building buildings. We're talking about building the original temple, which is you.
That's right. That's right.
Because all of that is just a bunch of hocus pocus. If we put a bunch of niggas in there in operation on things that we need to actually produce, it don't work. It doesn't work. All right. So I'll lay this down. The oldest science of humanity is the science of the cosmos. The ancients, our ancients, believed that it was impossible to live intelligently without understanding the laws of nature. The supreme objective was to determine how the divine law manifested itself in the earthly sphere. This is why I'm telling you more than... Oh, I'm locked in now. As brothers, I can't wait till I get 31, bro. Illusion. Accept it. Yes. You offered it to yourself and you accepted it. Which is agreement. Among the ancients, alchemical metaphysics taught that the outward realm, or metals and material being, correspond to the inward realm of the human soul, and both in turn correspond to the heavenly realm. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Why? Inward realm, outer realm, cosmos. You want to know why there's so many natural disasters that are going on? Because the natural disasters are taking place in you.
That's right.
And as the brother said, we don't want to release those things. And because we are God, we are God. We are metaphysically enacting the forces to remove ourselves when we are in that state of consciousness. Think about what I'm saying. You're so smart, you have a mechanism in you that says, oh, you don't want to be here? Good. Get out of here. So people who are practicing real principles and absolute laws don't get hit by a bus.
That's right.
Not an accident. You don't want to be here. You're smart enough to know. You already know. I'm messing this thing up. You ain't saying that outwardly. You going to the club. But you're messing it up. And guess what? Everybody who's messing it up, you're going to mess it out. Which is good. That means that you're operating off mathematics. You know you're not supposed to be here, get out. The ability to discover this correspondence corresponds to supreme enlightenment. That means I know what's going on. That's it. No, what I'm going to go home and argue with my husband for? Why I'm going to argue with my wife when she's telling me, brother, you're not being productive? She's telling you the truth. I know we're supposed to be on this, but I got to get some of this rice. It tastes so good. Can't stop. Oh, baby. Call Brother Keith. Call Brother Sadie. Call Brother Paul. Can they give me something for this? Something for it. You dishonored supreme enlightenment. I don't want it. These two aspects, the outward, so we just stated that. I understand and geometry that by we could sustain our environment.